stay at home and protect lives. That's the clear warning from the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, who says it's not a request, but an instruction.
Debido a la emergencia del coronavirus, alumnos y docentes han tenido
Hi folks, quick update from me on the campaign against coronavirus.
I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead.
Rallentare la diffusione del nuovo coronavirus. In
finding faster ways to test people who may have the
virus. And it was such an incredible moment that is now taking place every Thursday at 8 p.m.
None of us can say when this will end, but end it will.
Hello and welcome to Corona Chronicles, where in the coming weeks we will attempt to touch base with a wide range of people from all walks of life to talk about how the current situation is impacting them both professionally and personally, as well as offering a cupful of cheer, some top tips and stats, and most importantly to touch virtual base with a cheery hello and without the need for hand sanitiser. I'm Nick Randall. We start this run with a good friend from our parent SNS Online strand, scriptwriter, BAFTA Award winner, Friend of the Stars and Writers Guild chair, Gail Renard, who's on the line now. Gail, welcome to the show and thanks for being our very first guest.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad at all the way from Putney. What's Putney like today?
I'm just looking out over Putney Common. People are very good on the whole about self-distancing. Everyone's very polite. The only problem is if you're walking on a narrow pavement and get behind somebody who's walking with a dog, because dogs stop at every single lamppost to sniff, and they're not good at maintaining that 2 meters.
Have dogs not got the memo, Gail?
No, it's awful, you know. But aside from that, I think, as ever, people are doing their best.
Yeah. So, I mean, how are you coping? Obviously, as a writer, presumably you work from home a lot, so perhaps it hasn't impacted you quite so much?
Well, no, the sad thing is that writers tend to, we work from home anyway, and we tend to be knobby no-mates. So on a day-to-day basis, it's probably not that different. But joking aside, obviously one is worried, but I'm lucky I have a deadline for something, so I'm writing. But I do find I'm going much slower and the concentration isn't there. And I have a constant craving for chocolate, but that probably has nothing to do with the virus.
I think that's my excuse too, Gail.
It's just, it is a strange time. And like I said, I'm lucky because also I've just completed a series that'll be going out on the BBC very shortly. A children's series for CBeebies called Monty & Co.
Of course, as we've featured on SNS in the past.
Yes, and so I'm lucky that we literally finished filming and were able to deliver it to the BBC before this happened. But I know a lot of series, obviously, all filming has stopped. And they're rationing things like Coronation Street and the rest of the soaps. You know, the thought of not having Coronation Street is like the raven leaving the tower. It just, one never thought of it. Who's going to break the news to William Roach? But joking aside, it's hard for people in the business because their contracts stopped, the moment the lockdown started. And as self-employed people, it's going to be very difficult for them to claim some of them. So for the writers, the actors, the crews on short-term contracts, it's a real problem because money just stopped flowing in. So that is very, very worrying for a lot of people.
This is what I've heard from a lot of people, that the money is supposedly there, but actually getting your hands on it is quite problematic.
Well, it depends, but also freelancers won't be paid at all from the government until June, and people were kind of hoping to eat before then. But it is a problem. On the other hand, some television companies will have enough pre-production time. They can commission scripts and work on scripts. And one of the positive things that's come out is meetings are being done on Zoom and Skype, like the good Lord intended. Why people keep getting pulled in for meetings and traveling from, every end of the United Kingdom and often have to pay their own fares for a 5-minute meeting has always seen a waste. So maybe when we're out the other side of this horrid virus, we will have learned a few things.
Is there anything that struck you since the lockdown started? Anything specific to your own life or just general things that you've observed?
Well, I always like to believe in the kindness of people anyway, but it is lovely how, sort of the community has united, the neighbors. We all look after each other and shop for each other when we can and look after the elderly and vulnerable. And also, the WhatsApp is beeping all the time. There's so many different WhatsApp groups. But it's a scary time. I take to not watching the news. I record it every day and then I fast forward it literally. And if there's anything I think I should watch, I do. If not, I've got the gist.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you can be saturated with too much news if you're not careful.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem of 24-hour rolling news, because they will fill it. And I'd like to see some good news for a change. But, it's, we will get through this, and I know we'll get through it, but it's just taking it one day at a time. And also, hopefully, that when we're back and we have our telly and films back, they won't only be about the coronavirus.
Well, at least we're not talking about Brexit now. That's one safe place.
Yes. Oh, those happy days. There's an old Jewish expression about man makes plans and God laughs. And I can hear the laughter from here.
So, any words of advice to the nation or thoughts for the day or anything at all that might motivate or inspire us?
Let's see how many of us actually do clear out our homes as we said we would and do a declutter. Yeah. Now's a good time for all of that. I find I'm planning meals a lot with a lot more interest in time and actually cooking.
Yes.
And I'm baking for neighbors and things, sort of for people. Well, it is. The way I like to do it, you bake a big cake and you deliver a few slices each to elderly people or vulnerable to go with their tea. And it's just a nice little way to touch base. And my mantra has always been there's very little in life that cake doesn't make better.
Oh, I would agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Love a bit of cake.
Yeah. So it's just trying to do the little things. To take your mind off yourself and think about what you can do for others.
Oh, that's a lovely full stop to this. Gail, thank you so much for joining us today on our very first show. And I'm glad you're surviving and indeed thriving in sunny Putney.
Well, it's good to speak to you. I'm happy to speak to you anytime.
Oh.
Please, anytime. I just want to speak to people anytime.
Well, you're one of my personal faves and the shows as well, of course. Part of the family of the SNS banner. So it's always lovely to get you back, Gail. So lots of love, huggies, and speak to you soon.
Lots of love and take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was great, Gail. Thank you so much. Are you there? Oh. That was supposed to be a showbiz goodbye, but she actually did hang up on me. Bless her. Anyway, we'll get back to Gail another time, I'm sure. Just to take a look at the guidelines before we leave for today, the basic restrictions state that everybody must stay at home where possible and only leave if they have a reasonable excuse. And this includes exercise alone or with members of your household, shopping for basic necessities, any medical need or providing care for a vulnerable person. Travel to and from work, but only when you cannot work from home. If you go out, stay 2 meters, which is 6 feet away from other people at all times, and wash your hands as soon as you get home. The Queen is about to address the nation, or might have addressed the nation by the time you hear this. And to give you a little quote from that speech, as it appears to be online in advance, I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time, a time of disruption in the life of our country, a disruption that has brought grief to some, financial difficulties to many, and enormous changes in the lives of us all. And I hope in the years to come, everyone will be able to take pride in how they responded to this challenge. And those who come after us will say that the Britons of this generation were as strong as any. And I think that's the idea of this podcast. I mean, obviously, we're not going to shy away from the facts, whether they be good or bad, but with a sense of hope and optimism and talking away through problems, whether it be mental health, loneliness, or particular insights that frontline staff can give us in later interviews. So keep an ear out. This will be a regular podcast. And please share, and share again on all your lovely social media. But until next time, this is me, Nick Randall, and my special guest for the very first show, Gail Renard. Stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.